the most amount of clients I've had at any one time, just one-on-one coaching, was 196.
Okay, Jordan, I really appreciate you coming on the call today. Thank you very much and giving up some of your time. As I spoke to you in the build-up, what I'm trying to do is put together some video series which is going to help either new or struggling personal trainers, but also for other trainers to kind of find out the different routes that people have taken within the industry. Now, one of the reasons I got you on is because of your background and what you've managed to build online, which in the last 5 or 6 years, I would say, has become a massive area of the fitness industry. We seem to be getting a lot of publicity. There's a lot of trainers trying to move into online stuff as well. So where are you right now with your business?
I suppose, thanks for having me on, first of all. So taking it back a little bit, I've been online coaching now for 83 consecutive 4-week blocks, if that makes sense. So 83 months, basically, work that out to years or whatever else. In that time, I've had clients in about 47 countries. It may have gone up a little bit, all over the globe, obviously. And I've been online coaching purely and solely for that time, and that's all I get my income from. I've now transitioned a little bit where the business is broken up now in 2 parts. So I help people with their fitness and health, and then also help personal trainers and the like, and set up and do something similar to what I've done.
And have you seen, from when you started off to now, you say you're helping trainers, have you seen a lot more trainers coming into that side of things as well?
It's a huge growing industry. It's what everyone wants. So I think a lot of people have a bit of a misconception about online coaching. A lot of people see it as an opportunity to make some easy money. And it's definitely not that way, or I don't think it should be seen that way. But yeah, it's absolutely, every second person wants to get into the online scope of things to some degree.
And are you finding with the people that you're working with, is this people that, is it a mixture? So is it people that are just new to the industry that want to go straight online, or is it people coming through gyms or through studios?
No, it's a little. So in which aspect? In terms of the coaching of other trainers, are you referring to?
In terms of coming, they want to work online, so they want to work with online.
No, a varied type of coach, to be honest. I've worked with some coaches that are in their 60s and want to get into online coaching and really struggle to work out how to do it and keep it simple for them. And then I've worked with people that, have been in the industry, 12 months or whatever else. So basically the full spectrum.
Wow. So with your online coaching, if you're actually coaching clients, you say you've been doing it for just over 18 months as well. What sort of client base have you built up in that period of time? How many people have you worked with?
It's on average about 100 clients a month. Probably the most amount of clients I've had at any one time, just one-on-one coaching, was 196. The lifestyle balance was a little bit different. It was like the kind of getting up at 4 a.m., going to bed at 11 o'clock at night, 7 days a week kind of thing, and become a bit of a struggle. But at that same time, I was working full time. I was studying a psych degree. I had 2 kids under the age of 2. So I had a lot on my plate anyway. I've changed things up a little bit. My business coaching is probably the core of my income now, and the health and fitness coaching side of things is somewhat supplementary. But probably on average, 100 clients a month over that 83-month period.
And was this just you on your own, or did you have a team behind you?
No, really? just me. Yeah.
Okay, wow. So take me back. So when you first started in the industry, how long ago was that?
So I've had a few different things going on in my life. I was in the chemical and nutrition industry and worked within that industry since I was about 18, as in sales and the like. And so I've always had that career. And then I was also personal training some clients in the morning at the gym and whatnot. But I didn't overly love the personal training side of things. I love the helping people side of things, but I wasn't necessarily, I suppose I had my own career, which was making the core amount of my income and made life well. And then I was just doing these extra clients here and there because I liked helping people, but I didn't necessarily like going to the gym. I'm much more suited to online coaching. It's just my personality type. I'm very much introverted. I have ADD. So there's a few things that just didn't align with how I sort of like living my life. So I transitioned out of personal training straight into online coaching after about a year or so.
Oh, really? So that quickly? And
yeah.
And how did you go from working in a studio to pulling people online? Were you using original clients? Were you looking for new clients? How did it start?
You know, it's one of those questions that it's always a hard one to answer. It's like, when did you start doing this? It's like, well, I started it this day, on this date, but there was probably 3, 4, 5 years of posting to social media, uploading content, helping people. There was building, I suppose, brand awareness for a long period of time before I even really had the idea that I was going to go into online coaching. So the day I eventually pulled the trigger and said, hey, this is what I'm thinking of doing, and this is what I'm going to be doing, and blah, 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 I'd already put in 3, 4, 5 years. I had been on 2 podcasts by that stage. I hosted 2 different podcasts at that stage, and so on and so forth. So it's a hard question to answer in terms of when did we start, because it didn't really start the day I decided or got my first client. It started, years before that, of just uploading content, helping people, answering questions, doing all that kind of stuff, and raising that brand awareness to where people sort of say, so when I did pull the trigger, it wasn't like, oh, what's that guy doing or whatever else. It was like, I'm the guy that can already bring has the answers or whatever else. And then, you get the clients relatively easily then.
And were you consciously trying to build an online
No,
then? No,
not then. I just loved it. It's like most coaches and whatever else. Like, we fall in love with the industry, and it's it's a huge part of who we are. We obviously like training ourselves, and we go into the next field of then coaching other people, and we get that great reward, and so on and so forth. And then so I was just doing what I was naturally wanted to do. Like, I didn't have that decision, but I got to a point where I had a family on the way, and then I had a wife that needed to obviously stay home, and so on and so forth. And so I thought, what am I going to do? How can I make some extra incomes? Then I was personal training, one-on-one in the gym. And then I transitioned out of that. And it's like, I kind of want to be around my kids, and I want to spend time, and I want to, I don't want to be working and then in the gym and then working full time and then coming home and in the gym and so on and so forth. So basically the online coaching sort of evolved purely out of thought process of more so just being home with my children more than anything else.
Yeah. And when you first started to feed clients into your online training, how were you doing that initially? You say you were answering questions. Was it naturally them asking them for help, or?
No, it was basically I was just interacting, engaging. We talk about social media, and people have a hard time. If you look at the best personal trainers in any gym, anywhere in the world, the best personal trainers are the ones that walk the gym floor and interact with people and build those relationships. Social media and posting on social media, and whether it's a status update or whatever else, is simply engaging. It's walking the gym floor. That's what people should be thinking about when posting to social media, is just walking the gym floor. It's interacting and so on and so forth. And you're just creating those relationships, raising your brand awareness, showing you're the expert in their eyes, and so on and so forth. So that's how you think about social media and posting and so on and so forth. So then when I did finally say, hey, this is what I've got going on, and I just put a status out to, I had 200 friends, I had 10 people say yes, I want to join and I want to be a part of it. And then they got great results in that first month. And then we posted again and said, ready to take on new clients. And the next month I had 30. And then the next month I had 70. And basically I never really went below that number ever again.
Wow. And that's a great analogy, especially with social media. You say talking and walking the gym floor, because I find that if I look on social media, a lot of stuff is very full stop. So it's very little interaction, is there, between, So when you were going onto social media, you were looking, was it predominantly Facebook you were using at the time? Or
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always been Facebook dominant. You know, I have a Twitter account, but I don't think I've ever posted to Twitter. Instagram, I do. I find Instagram really frustrating. You know, in terms of just the spam accounts, comment, like it's just like it's purely. I think Instagram's great, and some people do Instagram a lot better than me. So I have a bias towards Facebook, but I find Instagram really great at wanting to sell a bottle of water and a physical product. Selling a service and a coaching service where it's an intimate process. I find Instagram a little bit harder, whereas Facebook, it's that engaging and so on and so forth. And what you said, a lot of people do use Facebook like a full stop. And it's kind of, you know, the same analogy of the gym, you know, walking the gym floor. It's like a trainer standing in the corner and just screaming out fucking, you know, sorry, the language, but just throwing out random stuff. You know, it's not what it's about. It's about putting something out that warrants engagement. It inspires somebody to comment back or whatever else. And that's the process and the thought process that should be happening when we are posting social media.
And when you were posting on social media, was it predominantly to your own timeline, or were you actually going into groups and searching in specific sort of groups for the niche you were trying to target?
I had both. So it starts within your own, you know, network and just posting there. But I think a lot of people will go to Facebook group and like drop an advertisement here or drop it, you know, whatever else. Yeah. You know, the way I look at it, you know, majority of my clients were weight loss clients. Now, if I think about weight loss clients and I think about what people want, you know, what percentage of the world want to lose 5-10 pounds, want to feel, look better, so on and so forth, the percentage is rather high. So a lot of people, the way I see it is, you know, engaging on these groups is that there's a high percentage of people that probably could be clients. Don't just go and say, hey, I want to work with you. Just engage, meet them at their level. And you know, whatever the Facebook group is, you know, if it's about, I don't know, gardening, like just engage in gardening. And naturally people will, you know, gravitate towards you, add you as a friend, and they'll see what you're doing. It's like, oh, I need to lose weight. Maybe he can help me. It's like, you got to build that relationship. You can't be just, you know, it's like the Gary V. It's the jab, jab, hook. It really is that. It's about just doing stuff and creating these relationships. And most people can potentially be a client.
And when you say going into groups and sort of interacting with them, are you talking about, you know, looking at their questions, reading comments, interacting with the post?
Yeah, and just being helpful. And I think, you know, that's where it helps just to be inside Facebook. And it's just, you know, Facebook groups is a slow burn. Like, it's not something that's going to result in clients on you know, like that. It's a slow burn. So it's about finding groups that you actually enjoy being a part of, and whatever your hobbies and whatever else. And that's where I think fitness professionals become a little bit too one-dimensional and just, you know, fitness. And that's really all that they think about. And it's like, you need to have other things to relate, you know. When you think about your connection, you need to have multiple connection points. So when people think of you, it's like the first thing they've got to be, you're the fitness person, you can get the results, but you've got to have other connectors somewhere that also bring you in and make that person want to come towards you, or vice versa.
Fantastic. You know, I'm a massive believer in Facebook groups. So even though I still only train people sort of physically within my studios, we still use groups to go on for research to find out what people are struggling with. So it helps with our products, with our programs as well. So I'm a massive advocate for the use of Facebook groups. So if we go a little bit further along, so you've gone into groups with your own business, when you run your online training, how did you first set up like the structure of the online training? You know, in terms of sending out the exercise programs, the support, building a community. How did you first set that all up?
I use Facebook for nearly all of it. I don't use a third-party app or anything else like that. I use Facebook, and I'll set up a Facebook group with the client, and that's where we'll engage. And then there's obviously a few more things around that, but largely it's around just creating a Facebook group, sending out spreadsheets of you know, exercise plans, meal plans, whatever else that we need to do to get the client engaged. At the end of the day, I always see it's like the clients don't have a content problem or an information problem. If anything, their information problem is a overload of information. My job is to just, first of all, create that clarity, but also get them to do the things that they could have done if they just typed in Google and spent 5 seconds on searching something. So, you know, from that perspective, you know, it's like, I think people are just trying to make things too, trying to be too clever with the content issues and not enough in the coaching aspect. And you got to create whatever platform you use. It's got to be a platform that creates great engagement, and it allows questions to come forth and allows them to do the stuff, you know, makes them accountable and all that kind of stuff. And that's really how people need to think about it.
And how did you find running a Facebook group helped other members? You know, so did you find they were interacting with each other, so they helping a lot of each other out, or were you having to put a lot of time in yourself?
I think you're always going to have to put time in. It's like one of the things I said early on, is that a lot of people think that an online coaching service is going to be, you know, I set it up and then I can walk away and sit by the beach in Thailand and live life. You know, it takes work, and, you know, you are the coach and you are the reason. And it's like, most people can do it. Most people can do it for a period of time, but eventually shit hits the fan, and that's what you're getting paid for. But when the speed hump comes along in their life or whatever it is, and makes the process hard, all right, and that's what my job is to help them through that little part until we get to the smooth sailing again, and you get, you know, and then that'll come around, and then the hard part will come again. My job is to do that. And that's where I think Facebook works, is because I can create a level of relationships relatively quickly. And they feel like, you know, all of a sudden we're Facebook friends, and being friends is helpful. You know, and I'm a face, you know, I have a face and I have a family, and they can relate to that. And that all helps build those relationships out. So when the bad seas come along, or that you know, where shit hits the fan, they can have that moment where they feel like they can tell me about it, and then we can have the conversation around, you know, what can we do? What can we do to keep you on path? You know, what can we do to change things up? What can we, you know, whatever it is. But it is hugely about that engagement in the beginning.
And then within the group as well, you know, in terms of the support, so you're saying you're interacting with them themselves as well. What do you kind of find that online clients' biggest struggles is? Is it like you said before, you know, where they do hit a speed bump, or they do find something to struggle? What's the sort of main struggles they're having? And you as a coach, how can you kind of overcome them, you know, as an online coach? Because it's something quite hard to understand, you know, like, because they're not interacting person to person.
You know, I think first thing we should know, like my core clientele are weight loss clients. All right, so let's just keep it real broad, but it's weight loss clients. Now, with weight loss clients, what's the most important thing to achieve, you know, weight loss? It's diet. Diet is a huge component, and diet adherence is a huge component. So it's about creating an environment where they can keep accountable, and I get them to send every single food photo, every morsel of food that they eat. They've got to send it to me, and they've got to do all that kind of stuff, and that creates accountability. And then one day hits the fan, like, you know, I know Sandra reverses out of the driveway and runs over the family dog and feels all terrible about it, and wants to, you know, goes inside. It's Thursday afternoon, and she reaches inside the freezer and grabs a you know, tub of ice cream and starts eating and eating. And she wakes up Friday morning and says, stuff it, I've ruined my whole week. I'll start again on Monday. And then she spends the next 3 days just eating 40,000 calories and just totally, you know, undoes weeks worth of work. And that's a reality for a lot of people. And that's one of the, and it's like, they do so well. And doing the so well part is hard. You know, it's like, it's hard being in a calorie deficit for a period of time, but then they, you know, things go a little bit awry, and then they fall off the wagon, and all that hard work is sort of somewhat undone to a degree. So ultimately what I want to do is I want to take that client down from 4 days down to 1 day, down to one meal. And if we can just draw a line in the sand after allowing that client just to have that one meal of feeling terrible, and because I'm well aware, you know, when you're in a funk or something's happened, food does help. Like, there's nothing wrong with having that tub of ice cream because you're having a bad day or whatever. Obviously, you don't want to be having bad days every day, but, you know, it helps. So I don't want to totally remove that one meal from the client. Have it. But if I can draw that line in that sand that night and get them back on, I can save them from 40,000 calories, and we can just have 2,000 calories. It's a huge difference. But to get to that point where they feel comfortable in that moment to tell you what problems they've got going on in their life. And people have real problems, the amount of clients that I've spoken to about, child abuse, about whatever it is. There's like heavy and deep shit that people carry around with them. It takes a lot to get to that point where they feel comfortable talking to you, especially online. I think there's some benefits to online where, people, sometimes it's easier to tell someone when you're just writing it out. It's a faceless person. You don't have to worry about, the look in their eyes of feeling judged or whatever else. You can just type it out. And there's a little bit of like Dear Diary elements to online coaching, which helps, but it's still, it's not necessarily an easy thing for people to do, to open up some of these things, but we kind of have to do that to get over these little hurdles that we find along the way.
Yeah, and with the clients, you're saying, so if we take your maximum, you're just over 190, you mentioned they're sending you food shots, and you're keeping to, how are you managing all this? I know the hours you were working, but how are you managing to like keep on top of stuff like that? 'Cause
it's about creating good, simple systems, and not overcomplicating. Like overcomplicating is going to make it too hard to you really want to create systems that put the emphasis on the client to send the information. Like I don't want to be following clients up. I'm not your school teacher that's following you up to see if you handed in your homework. I'm not going to be doing that. And I'm straight up and honest. I'm not following you up to say, hey, have you handed in your homework? You've got to own this journey. It's your journey. If you're struggling, all you've got to do is say, Jordan, I'm struggling. And then I'll come in and help you. But so you create little systems that really put the emphasis on them communicating first and taking the journey by the hands. Because if they don't, and I'm just constantly, hey, where's your meal photos? Or, have you exercised today? That's time consuming. That's not also doing them any favors. It's really not, because eventually they have to take this journey on their own. So I really want them to take ownership, and I want you to send me those meal photos. And if you can't send me those meal photos because there's a problem, you've got to tell me. And I'm not going to judge you, or I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to try and help. Like, what can we do differently? And that's what my job is.
That's a really interesting way, because a lot of trainers will go, some personal trainers will go the other way, and they'll be hassling clients, and then they'll put a lot of pressure on the clients that way. So you went the complete opposite way. Just ask them to take ownership of what they were doing and to actually learn the process themselves and take control of the situation.
And they don't have to have it worked out. They just got to have they've got to take the journey as I'm their coach, and I'm only here to help them. Like, we got to make that known. Like, it's not about the money. It really isn't. And it sounds funny to say that, because I'm obviously a business person as well, but it's not about the money. The way I see any client acquisition is, it's like I get paid, I don't know, let's just say $100 for that client. The $100 is okay, but I really see that $100, then you telling 3 friends about it, and then it turning to $300, and then turning into $900. So it's like, the results are more important. So I want to help you. And so it's not about the money. It's not about that $100, because it's about the long game. And like any business is, it's about the longevity of it all. So I want them to know I'm here for them, and I'll do what I need to do to help you. But so I think that's the first thing, is they've got to know that you really are in their corner. And that can be taken for granted a little bit. It's like, of course I'm in your corner, but you really got to make sure that they're well aware of that. And then once they know that, it's like, this is what we have to do. You have to take ownership. This is your journey. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I promise to do. I will get back to you as quickly as I possibly can. I'll do this. I'll do this. I'll do this. Communication's key. I do videos and say, if I look at all the past clients I've ever had with the greatest success, the key core element to them compared to the people that do mediocre or don't do that well is communication. They don't have superior genetics. They don't have, anything else going on in life. They're just like you. They're single parents, they're whatever else, but they're good communicators. And then through good communication, we unravel the knots of, complications, and then we go to work.
And you find, with the communication, you say messages. Were you doing anything else to communicate with the group as a whole, or was it all sort of individually with the group?
No, I do daily videos just like this and whatever else, and 5-10 minute videos that are on core topics and whatever else. I get them to do certain things. I get them to do a gratitude journal where they got to post something positive each day and really try and wire the mind to think about positive stuff, especially when people are hungry. It's easy to get grumpy, you know what I mean? So we really try and work on those kind of things and the mindset side of things. But, you know, it's I don't do much more outside of that. It's like, this is how it works. This is what I need you to do. This is what I will do. And then we go to work. And I do what I say I'll do. And I hope you'll do what you say you do. You know, you paid me. Make the most of it. You could message me. And I tell my clients, you can message me 5 minutes intervals for the whole journey. I'll answer every bloody question. Like, you know, I will. But you still have to post the question.
It's perfect. And then in terms of your business growing, how did it grow? Was it growing through referrals? Was it growing through you running ads or launches or statuses? I know we spoke about initially how you got going, but to get up to the level of clientele you were working with, how do you grow to that much?
You know, I said before, I think I've had clients in 47 countries. I think it's grown to probably 50 now. But if I think about all the clients I've worked with, I've worked with 10 people for the first time. I could nearly connect those 10 to the 50 clients that I've had, like a big family tree. I could nearly connect each line to the very first 10 people I worked with. Obviously, you get a couple new out of the blue, but a fair core chunk of it comes from the very first 10 people. That person knows that person that knows that person. Like I had a client in Pakistan. I don't know anyone that lives in Pakistan, but I know someone that knows somebody that knows someone. I had a client in Papua New Guinea, same. Lebanon, same. So on and so forth. It's like this person knows that person that knows that person. And, you know, if you focus in on your results and creating something that's worth friends telling people about, you know, it's like someone loses 10 kilos, you change their life, whatever. You know, I've had a client that they named their child, their middle name was Jordan, because what we did, we helped them fall pregnant, like, you know, from a distance. Let's just be honest about that. But, you know, and they were, how do you create something, or, you know, your objective is to create something that's so freaking awesome that people want to tell their friends about. You know what I mean? And I think that's where people get lost in apps and so on and so forth, and making things look cool and fancy. It's the tribe you build. It's the connections you have, and it's that sense of community and a sense of friendship and the sense of, you know, all doing it together. And that tribe's hugely important.
That's massive. You know, I actually wrote a post today on referrals. That's why I was asking. So I'm quite keen, because I think a lot of the basics, you know, of tapping into other people's network is forgotten. And you've just proven you can build a number of business.
From a core, you know, from a sustainable business, it's everything. Client tenure and client retention is the core of your business. You know, that's what is going to keep your business sustainable. Because trying to find 100 new leads or whatever it might be every single month is going to be a hard frigging game to play. Let's just be honest. So, you know, you build out your core clients and they stay for a while. You know, the average tenure of an online client for me, the last time I looked, was about 8 months. So a client stays with me for a while. I've got no contracts. I've got no nothing. They sign up for 4-week blocks and they just re-sign up over and over again. No commitment whatsoever. And they stay for average 8 months. Some clients longer, some clients shorter, obviously, and whatever else. But they're your core. And then you build, and, you know, let's just say you want to create a business of, I don't know, 100 clients at $200. So, you know, 100 clients at $200 there's, you know, what's that? You know, it's good income a month. You know what I mean? Like it's good income a month. So you don't need to constantly be working to find your new leads. If you've got 100 clients and your average tenure is 8 months, that means a fair core of those, 1 in 8 are going to finish this month. That means I only need to find 1 in 8 referrals from those core. Let's say 80 of those clients. I only need to tell 10 of their friends or 20 of their friends. They top it up and I keep going. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
It perfectly does. It really does. And I like the way you do tap into other people's network.
And there are things you can do to try and create those, like you can help those things along. Like you can let things happen naturally and just like keep doing great things. And you know, if someone loses 10 kilos, like it's noticeable. Their friends are going to ask, well, you look fantastic. What have you been doing? They're going to naturally come into this conversation about what they've been doing. Next minute, you know, you've got a friend request and they're going to you see them scrolling through your page. They like a post from a month ago and whatever else. And then 2 days later, they inbox you. And that's the process. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can, as I said, you can help create those little leveraging systems. You can create incentives, whether it's rebates or whether it's, free things, whatever. But you've got to do something. You can do something, or you can just wait and let it happen naturally.
From I know we're talking about the positive, but from a client's point of view, have you ever come up against any clients who don't fully understand how online training works, or they're quite a little bit resistant to online training? Or has it always been people, because they're coming through their friends, they've already seen the results?
I think that's huge. I think having that belief system from the get-go is hugely important, especially when we're talking about weight loss and the average person's had tried 10 different diets, and in their mind, 10 different diets haven't worked, and they're the common denominator, and they're already come in half defeated, but they've got this glimmer of hope that it might change. Like, you're already starting with a little bit against it, you know what I mean? Because they've kind of already half self-defeated. So you've got to create that. So having that belief system of their friends and having all this kind of stuff and the results and the before and afters and all that kind of is hugely important. But you're always going to have, because, it's human nature to resist change. Like, change is, from an evolutionary perspective, change is dangerous. You know what I mean? Like, whatever we've been doing has kept us alive, so let's keep doing what we've been doing. So anytime change comes along, it's something people are going to resist. And then you've also got the resistance of family. People don't like other people changing. All of a sudden, 45-year-old Sandra has gone and changed the whole family menu. And now she's eating this. Like, that's going to come with resistance. And there's always going to be something, you know what I mean? Like, in friends don't like friends changing, 30-year-old Patty, who's 40 kilos overweight and has tried everything. And, it's kind of like sad, but it kind of will make her feel better if Sandra fails, because now it makes me feel, it makes Patty feel better about her failures. And that's just human nature. It's like, it is what it is. So there's always going to be challenges like that. This is just part and parcel of the game.
Perfect. And so moving on a little bit forward to where you are now, what you mentioned your coaching trainers now. Tell me a little bit more about that. Tell me how you got into that, or why you got into that as well, and how you're getting on with it.
I suppose, I resisted being, how do I say it? I resisted adding too many personal trainers to my network and so on and so forth. Like, they weren't originally who I was serving. And I find that the more, a lot of people get into this, on their Facebook, all they do is add other fitness professionals, and all of a sudden their message has changed. Like, the way they communicate is like, I'm now appealing to my peers rather than my audience. And all that can be a dangerous sort of process. But over time, I started getting more and more, I don't know if known is the right word, but I just started having more and more trainers hear about me and adding me and then asking questions and so on and so forth. And I've always been a book that I started my whole basically business off is a book called The Go-Giver. And it's really about just giving and giving and giving and giving. And by default, without really trying, you're going to get, because you're always helping people and people naturally, so always was like answering questions and so on and so forth and helping. And then eventually just become too much, because the wave of the amount of, requests for help and so on and so forth. So eventually I just decided, you know what, I'm going to start charging. This is what I'm going to do. So now I run a 12-week mentoring program, which basically just, I show, when people come on board, I show them exactly how I do things, why I do things a certain way. We share my screen, we go through the whole lot. There's not, I don't keep anything secret. And then basically we go to work on building theirs, and I help them with the ad copy, and I help them with the marketing and so on and so forth. And it's one-on-one coaching. It's just like my fat loss coaching. It's one-on-one coaching. It's not a set plan. The mentoring is exactly the same. It's one-on-one coaching, me and them, me trying to help them. And, I don't do a lot of marketing. I don't really spend any money on Facebook ads. It all comes out of word of mouth. So it's like, it's the exact same philosophy with the fat loss coaching clients to the business coaching clients. You get results, I'll get results. And then it just grows out from there.
And as you said, that's how you found it. So because of your success And people know good success. Like it was one of my friends who first mentioned you, and then when I did the PTD Personal Training Development Center, when I did their online coaching program as well, you were also mentioned in that.
In the book.
Yeah. So that's obviously helped with your online coaching because you've got a trust there from people straight away, haven't you? Other people
Yes,
recommending you.
exactly. And you've got that proof, and you've got all that just from the get-go, and then they come in, and then it's like anything. People add you, and then they're friends with you for a few months, and then eventually they'll say, hey, they just want to make sure, because the online world is a shady business. Like, it's not, maybe not shady business is not the right word, but people are skeptical, especially when it comes to business coaches. Like, there's a lot of not fraudulent activity, but there's a lot of shady things going on in terms of, empty promises and so on and so forth. So people come along, make sure you've come with that sort of recommendation by being in the OTA textbook or whatever it might be, and people sort of, word of mouth, then they'll come and follow you, and then they'll make sure, he seems trustworthy. I'll reach out, find out the process. Like, it's always a process. Just very rarely does someone say, hey, I want to sign up to your program. You know what I mean? They've always been watching for a little while.
Yeah, your whole businesses have followed the same process, haven't they?
Yeah, and it's like, get results. And that's like, people are focusing on like the next step. It's like, focus on this step, focus on the results, and the rest will come. Like, I guarantee you, if your clients, I don't know, someone that needs to lose 20 kilos and they lose 20 kilos, I guarantee you that someone's going to reach out through that connection. You know what I mean? And then you get 10 clients that all lose 10 kilos. They're all going to, at least one of their friends is going to find out about you, if not more, and then you create little incentives to share your advertisement or whatever else it might be. And then 3, I have, when I first started, let's just say 200 friends. I get 10 people on, they've all got 200 friends each. And then they get great results, and then they share my advertisement. I got 200 friends each. Now 10 people are sharing. Now I've got 2,000 reach. You know what I mean? It's coming from a point of trust, because their friends now recommending it. It's not me recommending, it's their friends recommending. They already got trust. They didn't need trust with me. They had trust with their friend. So now that's like, it's inferred trust, and then it's, your process goes from there. And it's the same with the business coaching. It's like, get results, people refer you on, someone will post somewhere in a group, I'm looking for a business coach. And then you've got 3 or 4 people commenting and saying, reach out to Jordan, he's helped me do this, and bang, you got the trust.
And have you seen, from when you started, like, have you seen a massive amount of trainers come into you because they're sort of disgruntled in a gym, or they just want to try something different, or why are they predominantly coming for online training?
I think let's just be honest, there is money to be made. But I also think, depending on the clientele you want to serve, I am of the honest opinion that online coaching is superior to some forms of coaching. If you came to me and said, I want to improve my squat, I want to do this, do that, I don't think I'm the best person for you. I don't think online, I think finding, if you can, obviously, find a really good trainer in your local area that can help you improve your squat, in person probably beats online coaching. But if your biggest struggle is weight loss and diet adherence and whatever else, and getting to do your workouts and so on, online coaching, I think, is going to be better. It's going to be more superior, because I can help you. It's like, Weight Watchers meetings, they go along to a meeting once a week, for example. All right. They write down, and they've had this problem, and they catch up with their weight loss coach at Jenny Craig or whatever a week later, and they tell the coach, this is what's happened. I had this problem, had a fight with my husband, didn't pick up his underwear, and it just led me to eating everything in sight and whatever else. And then the weight loss coach a week later will say, all right, well, next time, how about we try this, as opposed to an online coach. Hey, this is what I'm dealing with. I'm struggling. Bang, I can help you in the moment. And that's so much better. It's like, trying to improve your squat. All right, well, next time you're squatting, I think, brace yourself, try and spread the floor apart. I can give you some cues. Then you go and load 200 kilos on your back, and all of a sudden your mind's completely blank. You can't remember anything. You know what I mean? So And that's where a coach in person is going to help, because he's going to say, hey, don't forget your cues, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? So that's where I think there are superiorities in terms of the types of coaching and whatever else.
And how do you find these are personal trainers you've coached, so the ones that you've coached, the ones that have worked in the gyms to now moving to online? How have they transitioned? What sort of struggles have they had, or how have they found the transition from in-person to coaching people online?
Obviously it's going to be varied. Some people just want to create a little bit of a supplementary income and want that, and other people want to create an empire and travel the world from their laptop and so on and so forth. So it really depends on the clients. I've had great success rate, and my coaches have done really well, and they've enjoyed it. Some coaches, obviously, some coaches, like I've had clients that make a full return on their investment in the first 3 weeks. And then I've had other coaches that, it's taken us, the full 12 weeks at least to get their money back, because it just depends on your audience and how receptive they're going to be and how you've warmed them up. And if everything you've posted for the last 2 years of being out on the piss on a weekend and eating a 3 a.m. Kebab or whatever else, then you're going to have a little bit of a transition to now change the perception of who you are and how they see you. You might have been the PT, a PT or whatever else, but they didn't really think too much of you. You know what I mean? And the thing is, especially when you're in the fitness industry, we're not rare commodities. You know what I mean? Like, we're a dime a dozen without, and so it's like, that's a challenge, because everyone knows at least one trainer. Like, so, if you're the person that hasn't posted to social media for 2 years, but now you want to be online, well, it's going to take us a little bit of time to build up that reputation and persona and whatever else. If you were out drinking every weekend or whatever else, it's going to take some time to change that perception. And, if you're going to take anything out of this call, it's like, you're in control of your perception, of how people perceive you, and everything you put up on social media. I tell my coaches, is like, everything you post is either raising your brand equity or decreasing your brand equity. It's never really neutral. So you make that decision. It's gonna raise. And if you've been posting negative rants or whatever else forever, and that's all you've posted, well, your brand equity is probably down here, and we need to build it up. And that just can be that time that it takes.
That's a big thing, time, isn't it? Because a lot of people, I think, because they're online, they just presume the online is going to build up because they're online. And like you said, it can take a lot of time.
And depends on what you've been doing. You know what I mean? It's like, you have to be online to be online. Like, you have to put your life online to be online. I have, my whole life is online. So people get a real sense of knowing who I am. And you need to have that sense of knowing who you are to create that trust to send you money online, when there's no guarantee that they're going to get anything. Like, there's a level of trust. Someone's sending me $2,000 online. There's sense of trust needed. You know what I mean? They've really got to have that trust. And that's where it all comes down to, feeling like they know you, and that online side of things. You have to be online if you want to be online.
Do you know what I love about this call? You've not spoke once about spending money.
I'm not a Facebook ads person. I'm not. I haven't needed to do that. It doesn't mean that that's wrong, because there's plenty of people that do it that way. But it's just not how I did it or needed to do it. And I like the way I do it. It's like, the business is a relatively low cost business. It's just my time to a large degree. I don't spend any money on third party software. I don't spend any money on, real money. Like, every now and again, I'll throw $50 at Zuckerberg or something just to keep them happy and so on and so forth. And, I will spend some money, but it's really not. Like, it's really about just do a good thing, and good things will happen.
It's incredible. Yeah, I'm the same as you. Like, in terms of Facebook ads, they've got their place, and you can get a lot. But like you said, if you can build your reputation and offer content, then people buy into it.
And with Facebook ads, I think a lot of people get a little bit distorted with how Facebook ads will work. Facebook ads aren't going to be, I'm going to post an offer and people are going to buy it. Who the hell are you? Like, no offense, there's celebrity trainers that have million followers, and you're competing at the exact same level. Or you have confidence in your product, but They don't know who you are. So why do you think that, just posting a Facebook ad will then result in a conversion when it's something like online coaching, when there's really no physical product? I think it's a little bit different if you've got an establishment and you've got a gym and you're trying to get some leads in. It's a little bit different. But when it comes to online coaching and posting a Facebook ads, it's a process, and it's that funnel, and it's about giving something up to get something, and that getting something is ultimately about getting an email address or a new follower or whatever else. So you've got to give something up to get that, and now once you've got that, it's not that sale, you've got their contact details, and now it's about warming up that lead and then turning it into a client at some point. But there's a step process that takes a long time, and you can do that, and you should do that. You shouldn't be one-dimensional in your game plan. But you also have, if you've got 300 Facebook friends, and I ask you, how many do you think you're interested in online coaching, and you answer, I don't know, maybe 10% are interested in online coaching, and then I ask the follow-up question, say, all right, out of 300 friends, how many do you think want to lose weight, feel better, and look better? Probably all of them. Well, you've got 300 potential clients right there. What are you doing to turn those into leads? And it's like people get a little bit funny about, selling to friends or whatever else. But if you're not motivated to help and change your friends' lives, then what the hell are you doing? Like, you aren't just trying to get money off them. You're literally trying to improve their quality of life. And if your friends and family aren't important for you to want to try and change their lives, well, let's be honest.
Yeah, start from where you are. Jordan, I'm going to wrap this up for you now. For people that want to work with you, because I've taken loads away from this, how can they get in contact with you, and how can they come and work with you?
So Facebook's always the easiest place to find me. I'm just going to be honest. Like, I'm always there. That's my office space. I've got 2 different websites. So for health coaching, it's jordanlark.com.au. For the business coaching, I have a website. It's basically just where I throw up some testimonials from time to time. It's not overly active, but it's thefitmentor.com.au. Just remember the AU because I'm in Australia. But yeah, that's the 2 places. But Facebook, you'll always find me. I'm always there. And
I'll be posting links below this anyway, so people can get them there. But Jordan, I massively appreciate your time today. I really do.
Pleasure, mate.
I've taken a lot away from this myself as well. I really do appreciate it. Thank you.
It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks very much.